Hello, and welcome to yet another edition of the DT Africa Live Series. My name is Richard Joseph, and it's my wonderful privilege to host you all. Welcome to Digital Times Africa. This is brought to you by Digital Times Africa. And today we have a very exciting discourse. We will be talking about accelerating digital entrepreneurship in Africa. And I'll be looking particularly at the NTF, which is the Netherlands Trust Fund, V, right, and what it is doing for digital entrepreneurs across all Africa. And I have quite a host of delegates who are going to speak deeply into the NTFV, Netherlands Trust Fund V. Right. Right before we comment and before I bring on my compatriots to help me, just want to take you through a few tips and around the African digital ecosystem. For one, if you need streamlined Afrocentric insight around technology, digital innovation, and entrepreneurship in Africa, feel free to visit www.digitaltimes.africa. We provide you accurate content, credibly reliable at all times. Something happening across the African continent, which is currently being hosted in South Africa, is the African Games Week. Today is the day 2. If you're into gaming, please feel free to visit gamesweek.africa and check out the programming lineup. Excited about the Afrofuture Summit as well. This comes up on February 28 and 22. Please feel free to join in. And Digital Factory returns live next month on the 10th. We've been on hiatus for the past 3 months, but we'll bring you back to Digital Factory. This is where we use conversation as a key driver to create solutions for the digital ecosystem. Mind you, 10th is the 10th March. I know last week we announced that we're going to bring it on 17th, but we had to move that backwards for the benefit of our audience. So we bring it back on now. I'm going to go quickly on a short commercial break just to give you tips about African Games Week and where you can register. And when we come back, I would introduce my guest. Hey there, welcome back. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the business for the day. As we all know, the digital economy offers quite a vast opportunity for scale, and it generates jobs at a very massive level, right? And its transformative power is real and impactful across African ecosystem. And today, we want to really get to know how this is working across all the African countries, and particularly the position of the Netherlands Trust Fund to help really accelerate and exponentially creates digital entrepreneurs across Africa. First, I bring on Milou. Milou, who is the programs associate at the UNITC, right? And she particularly works in digital sector development in Africa. Hi, Milou, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
And next, I bring on Diabel who's the NTEF Senegal Tech National Coordinator. I'm joining us all the way from Dakar, Senegal. And welcome, Diabel. How are you?
Hi, Shao. I'm fine. Happy to be here.
Great to connect with you, sir. And lastly, I have Isaac Newton up here. Isaac, you're welcome. Oh, Akia, rather.
Oh, thank you. Have to be here.
Great. Let's move straight into it. We've been talking about the Netherlands Trust Fund. What exactly is it, and what opportunities are there? This question will be addressed to Milou. You can lead us directly to understand what the Netherlands Trust Fund is, and what opportunities, what does it aim to do, and what African cities or what African states?
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. Let's start indeed there to understand what it is, because the name doesn't necessarily make clear immediately, of course, what it is or what it does. So the Netherlands Trust Fund, short NTF 5, is a program based on a partnership agreement with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands and the International Trade Center. The total program runs for 4 years, from July 2021 till June 2025. So we're now about half a year underway. And that was mainly the inception phase. And as previous NTF programs, the NTF 5 will be jointly implemented with CBI, and CBI is the Dutch Center for the Promotion of Export from Developing Countries. Now, the program covers support in 2 sectors. The first one is agribusiness, and the second one is digital technology. Both sectors will be supported in Ethiopia, Ghana, and Senegal, and only the digital technology sector in Ivory Coast, Benin, Mali, and Uganda. So there's quite a few countries there. And we've done other projects in those sectors in all countries already. However, Ghana is a new country for us to work in when it comes to the digital technology sector. And in the digital technology sector, activities will focus on more business-friendly tech ecosystems, in particularly strengthening support organizations such as tech hubs, but also equipping tech startups and IT and BPO companies with resilient business models, export marketing plans, linking them to business and investment opportunities, and also the digitalization of traditional SMEs. And then agribusiness sector, activities identifying resilient and sustainable business and production methods, strengthening public-private alliances and support ecosystems, and also building capacity for value chain operators. And in Ghana, it focuses on the cocoa sector, in Senegal on cashew, and Ethiopia. And
Great.
sorry.
No, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just one last sentence there to finish. So the 2 sectors, agri and tech, will be supported interlinked as well. So focusing on the agri-tech area where we work, for example, with agri-tech startups to refine their solutions to agribusinesses and also digitalize agribusinesses. So kind of like that area in between the agribusiness focus and the digital technology sector focus will be intertwined as well.
Okay, I'm just going to bring. You mentioned this is quite new in Ghana, and I want to just center around the Ghanaian ecosystem because we are reporting live from Ghana, by the way. Isaac, since you're the national coordinator here in Ghana, could you kindly explain what the NTF project seeks to do, or what the focus is on in Ghana specifically, and what sector does it really support?
Well, expanding what Milou mentioned, the area that we're focusing on, our department, is on the tech sector. So we're looking to scale different tech startups up. So give them the training, the access to market, the access to different trade shows that they need, but then also help internationalize. So we want to then get into different trade shows outside, get into have soft landings in Senegal through Diabel, in Ethiopia, Uganda, and other places that we are present. But then also making sure the ecosystem as a whole is more resilient. So this means that the tech hubs have the knowledge, the access, the insights that they need to help make Ghana a more vibrant startup economy.
Good to know. Then again, I'm just gonna go double back with Milou just to confirm a few things here. What would success really look like for the NTF 5?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have a really large list of indicators and outputs, but I'll talk a bit more generally about it. And in view of the situation resulting from the COVID crisis, the key performance indicators for the program are set ambitiously. So for example, we aim at thousands of more competitive tech startups, IT and BPO companies and agribusinesses, sales of supported companies near 90 million with a focus on internationalization and export, and tens of thousands of jobs supported and the positive effect on more than 200,000 people. And looking specifically at NTF 5 Ghana in the tech sector, for example, we aim to support around 800 jobs, sales generated by MSMEs at $14 million US, $125 million of direct investment unleashed by digital technology companies. But then we have also targets that look at how many DSOs we equip with digital tools, number of market linkages facilitated. So those are also part of it. And this, of course, means in more practical terms that success is when the tech startups and IT and BPO companies have been able to scale their business within Ghana and also outside, and the same for the other countries, raise investment and acquire knowledge to improve business processes. But also when our work has supported certain digital policies in the countries, and the partners we have worked with have been able to achieve their goals by partnering with us, that is also really important when we look at success. And lastly, I would say that success for NTF5 also means systemic change. So this means that when the program is over, our impact has a lasting result on the digital technology sector in the countries. For example, hubs have changed business models to become more self-sustaining. Now and in the future, companies have started exporting and will continue to do so in the future and possibly even increase. Digital policies have been shaped that will have a long-term impact. So also looking at that longer term, and to track these results, to track this success, the program has a monitoring system in place using real-time CRM and active risk management data that allows collecting but also visualizing project output and impact data. And we do this by working through partnerships and also building on the former NTF program, so NTF4 dashboard, so that we can really quickly see the progress, calculate value for money and make corrections where that's necessary. And perhaps also important to note here is that we will continue to focus on sustaining project results already documented in evaluations of those earlier phases of the NTF program.
Okay, I think I would just move over to Diabel here because you mentioned the NTF4 and you spoke about digital policies being supported, right? Diabel, over there in Senegal, in Dakar, right? What did the NTF4 really contribute in terms of digital policies over the year it was run?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you for this question. And I hope you see me clearly. My webcam is not really good, but hopefully
we can see you clearly. That's great.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. So yeah, just before beginning, just to remind that NTF4 started in Senegal and Uganda for the tech sector in 2017, 2018, let's say, beginning of 18. What I want to say that we didn't really have entrepreneurial effervescence like we know today. So for NTF for Senegal at this time, the focus was more on how to support Senegalese SMEs and startups in their international development. In other words, how to develop their international business competitiveness. Okay, but as you know, when you want to support entrepreneurs, SMEs, you obviously have to build the capacity building in various areas, help them to elaborate their development strategy, facilitate access to market, access to finance, participate in B2B event around the world, around Africa first and around the world. But you need to do so while taking into account the context in which they are evolving. Yeah, I mean the ecosystem, which often depend on orientation and priority of the country, of the government, and so that's why with NTF4 we intervened during these 4 years on three levels. At policy level, I will come back to that point. At ecosystem level, when we work with tech hub, with government agency, like that, and at the level of beneficiaries. And to answer more specifically at your question at policy level, has Senegal already had a Senegal digital strategy called SN 2025, Senegal numérique 2025, it's 2000, 2000, how to say 2025, yeah. We had Senegalese government together with other actors to draw a complementary strategy that is totally linked to that one, and that focuses on export of IT BPO services. So how to promote the expertise of Senegalese SMEs and startups internationally, and how to show the attractiveness of Senegal ecosystem to promote export of IT service. And we also collaborate a lot with the Tech Hub and structured government, like I was saying, like DARE. I don't know if you know DARE is a Délégation à l'entrepreneuriat rapide. It's a dedicated government agency. We work on youth and women entrepreneurship, which as a very important actor in our ecosystem, notably mainly in access to finance, but also at the advocacy for elaboration of Senegalese Startup Act. Yeah, no, we work with them for that. And what we hope now, what we plan to do in NTF 5 is to continue this work with all the actors, Minister of Digital Economy, the DARE, or the tech startup, tech up, I mean, and to make operational that law, that Startup Act, so that Senegalese startup and SMEs ecosystem can benefit from this advantage. And we also will work to the access of local market and maybe to ZLECAF, IFCTA area. Maybe we could talk about it later. Yeah.
Perfect. That's quite a huge impact. I mean, I was taking notes and I couldn't take quite a lot of feature in because she spoke a lot about how the NTF4 actually supported Senegalese digital ecosystem. I was about to double back with Isaac, looking at the Ghanaian digital agenda and what we are trying to do here in Ghana with the Startup Act, right? But before Isaac comes back online, I just want to find out where are we at Senegal or in Senegal with the Senegalese Startup Act? Diabel?
Yeah. There are, as I said, Startup Act in Senegal was came out in 2019, yeah? 2000,
Yeah.
beginning of 2000. And for now, yeah, we are waiting for government to make the decision to how to operationalize the Startup Act. So we have a lot of incentive in this Startup Act, mainly how startup could benefit from local public market, let's say, how startup can benefit from how to say impôt in English, I don't know, a lot of incentive, but up to now we are waiting for government to operationalize this law, and we hope hopefully it will be done early in this year. Yeah.
Hopefully, I would like to follow up and see where we are with the Senegalese Startup Act. And by the way, congratulations on winning the African Cup of Nations. Just for jokes. All right, I think welcome back on board. Right, I just want so I mean, I've spoken to Diabel about the how the NTF4 actually contributed to the Senegalese digital ecosystem. I'm just looking at the Ghanaian Startup Act and the digital agenda, which has been really championed across Ghana. Right, I want to know from your standpoint, what would the NTF5 do for the Ghanaian digital ecosystem? What kind of policies will this influence?
Well, I want to say, like in Ghana, we're really blessed to have many factors supporting the direction, all the way up to the president, the vice president, really lead the charge on digitalization of Ghana. With the digital post come into place. We were the first country to have interoperability of our mobile money networks. So we're really trying to create an enabling environment to really push for digitization. Ghana.gov, which was spearheaded by 3 local tech companies, was the Hoptel, Express Pay, and IT Consortium, showing how also public-private partnerships are coming into play, right? But as Jabril was mentioning, like in Ghana as well, we're looking at the Startup Act, but it hasn't been passed yet. But we're hoping that and the other initiatives that are happening both by private sector, different development agencies, and the government would enable for more tech startups to feel comfortable here and be able to thrive. Like the FinTech Act came and then ZPay and others make use of it, and we're able to really grow from that. And I think what the ITC is looking to do is really add more fuel to the fire that's already here. We want to not come into create our own drive, but really see what's happening with the ecosystem by spending time talking to different ecosystem players, from private sector to government agencies, and seeing how best can we come in and work with the community to drive it to the next level.
Thank you, Isaac. I mean, I sit here in Ghana. I see a few of those changes. I mean, what you really mentioned there with how public collaboration between the entities who developed the Ghana.gov website, which is really helping streamline how business services are operated across the Ghanaian ecosystem, which is great. But then I will just double back with Milou and Diabel on these. Right? Could you mention, right? Could you state some examples of startups that you've supported significantly, and how are digital-enabled startup driving the digital economy?
Sure, I can go first, and then I can hand over to Diabel.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. So, well, there are many examples, but I'll start with one that is in the agri-tech space, also because the NTF5 program has this agri and tech sector focus. So this was actually a startup that was supported under NTF4 in Uganda. They are called MobiPay. And they provide access to finance, access to renewable energy, and linkages for agribusinesses. So they have this platform, and on that platform, they profile farmers and link them also to financial providers. And the farmers then are able to obtain, for example, solar lamps or solar irrigation pumps, seeds, etc. And they actually grew a lot and now have this really big reach in Uganda with over about 13,000 households having access to renewable energy right now. And there are around 90,000 farmers actively transacting on the platform. So this has changed many agribusinesses in Uganda by digitalizing that part of the value chain. And what you then also see is kind of like with these startups accelerating and scaling and coming up, others are following as well, which then creates this like build-on effect of boosting the digital economy. And then just to highlight another example from a different country. So there is AfriDelivery, the leading online food delivery service in Zambia. This is a startup supported by one of our other projects in the tech sector, Fast Track Tech. And the app has over 200,000 daily customers and over 500 companies paying to be on the platform. And this is actually a lot more than their competitors due to the user friendliness of the app, the partnerships that they have built, which was very innovative. And then, for example, the company or the startup leveraged their logistic routes and customer base to open up to third-party sellers and smaller businesses. And the company also took on emerging e-commerce startups, and they entered the market partnering with an online grocery market and a deal with Lafarge, which you maybe know, which led to business-to-business sales. And these partnerships kind of like gave a new dimension also in the B2B market, which pushed AfriDelivery to accelerate its expansion. And now their competitors have actually adopted a similar business model, and it adds, again, extra pressure for Delivery itself to remain innovative and be that market leader. So I think these excelling digital startups in whatever country that is, or in whatever sector within digital that is, it pushes their digital SME competitors to do also better, which in turn creates this thriving digital economy. You see others going there doing well, and then the others are also trying to follow that. So it's kind of like this build up, and that's what we see a lot, which is really good to see, and what I think is part of driving the digital economy. So I'll stop here now, and I'll let Diabel talk maybe about a few examples in Senegal.
Yeah, I would like to hear about the examples in Senegal.
Yeah, thank you, Milou. Yeah, maybe I could finish with some example in Senegal, some example of startup. But before, just to precise some elements, so we understand how we have worked with the startup. At the beginning of the project, the startup was selected. Startup and SMEs, as I mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, so because we work a lot with IT and BPO company, and we have a lot of success with some company, some IT BPO company, and the startup was selected because they use tech. They are startup and SMEs tech, or because they use digital for in other sector. So use digital to reinforce other sector. So when you talk about digital economies, the simple, how to say, the only way to use digital in the traditional sector to improve those sectors, to pilot production, to facilitate access to market, to access to new mean of payment, etc., can be enough to have a strong impact on the performance of those sectors. So when we, with our beneficiary, it was not a question to talk to them how to use digital to innovate or to impact their environment, their business. So they come with their solution, their innovation, their services, like company IT and BPO, and we accompany them on how to structure the project, how to be able to sell it, how to develop their business outside the border, how to access to investor, and with a pool of consultant expertise, with a pool of consultants in various fields. Of course, and sometimes we organize periodical session in which we talk about some thematic, some thematic discussion about technology, about digital. But we have some example I can give you for a startup who have successfully accompanied during the project. Perhaps, I don't know if you, perhaps it's a startup who work on the last mile delivery in Senegal, and I think now in Burkina Faso and something in Ivory Coast. We work on l'Africa Mobile. Africa Mobile, it's a company who use USTDA message to spread communication in various areas. We work with Aeon. Aeon is a health tech present in Senegal and now also in other country, other sub-region country. We work with Baysedo and Agritech, who bring producer and buyers to connect them. So we have a lot of, we work with around 40 startup and 40 SMEs and tech startup. Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge number. 40 SMEs and tech startup, quite a huge one there. I mean, you spoke about you mentioned that you support startups. I mean, Diabel, yeah, you mentioned you support startups in terms of investment and promotion, right? I just want to check in with Isaac on this quickly. Or could you please expound on what you mean by your support startup with investment promotion? Could you talk about the work you do in this area critically?
Yeah. So a lot of times, as was mentioned, the startups have very good ideas. They know the target market they're going for. They're past MVP, looking to grow, but it's getting them investor ready. And by this, getting to understand the investor lingo, which investors speak a very different language tech startup speaks. And what we try to do is make sure they understand all of that. So, right, so we give them workshops, we give them mentors, we get them actual investors to guide them through what is needed to raise more funds. We also take them to different trade shows where they have a chance to actually interact with investors. And from those trade shows, build their own relationships with potential investors to their business, or at least be showcased so more investors get to see their business. Sometimes, you're hidden in your corner in Senegal and Ghana, Uganda, but the investors sitting in the UK and Germany and Holland, right? So by taking to your trade show there, you then get to interact with the European investors who are looking for companies just like yourself. So that's kind of things we do. Diabel was talking about structuring, right? So sometimes the companies aren't structured right. They don't have a cap table in place. They might need to get a financial license in place. So we try to make sure all these other elements that they need to get are done. So when an investor comes, they have less resistance to going ahead and making an investment. Everything is already like ironed out, all the I's dotted, all the T's are crossed.
Okay, I want to quickly just throw this in, right, for Milou to come in, right? Milou is sitting in Geneva, right? What is the track or the traction, the trajectory of the business development landscape across Africa look like? I mean, with in terms of the startup investment promotion that Isaac mentioned and Diabel mentioned, what does that look like over the years from NTF1 all the way to NTF4?
Thank you very much. So the NTF projects haven't always been in Africa and not always focusing on the same sectors. So I wouldn't really compare it in that way. But what we have seen over the years in terms of investments in tech startups or IT companies on the African continent is that it's definitely on the rise. You also see this, and often you have these kind of like reports and infographics that you see coming by on LinkedIn every year to see how much that actually goes up. And it is increasing, even though COVID was there. It's definitely on the rise. And we also see that now very heavily in Senegal happening. Whereas, 3 years ago, they were maybe like very small on the map or not even on the map. And you saw like Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa being there, but they're still there, of course. But now there are others popping up as well, like Senegal is one of them. And obviously you have Egypt and Morocco as the big investment areas. But I think from there, kind of like investors now know that environment and they're like, okay, what other countries are out there? So for example, we have done an investor event in Zambia to show investors interested in African tech space that it's not just those bigger countries where they can invest, but also to give them the Zambian startups a platform to show what they can do in the tech scene. And we kind of like got 10 investors to join the event that were already investing in Africa, in those bigger ecosystems. And they were like, hey, let's actually have a look, because we just don't have the knowledge there. We don't have that network there. And we see that they're interested in going there. It's just that, there are not enough stories yet that came out of there. And it's also the linkages that they need to the right startups, like getting to know that ecosystem. And I think that's an important role for us to play as well, to make sure that those startups get that platform, not just through us and making direct linkages, but also on events like Africa Arena, Africa Tech Summit, Slush, Viva Tech, all those big tech events in Africa and Europe, where they have a stage and can actually show this is what we do, and where investors can see, okay, this is something that we want to invest in, even though we weren't in that ecosystem before.
Yes. Maybe I can.
Yeah.
You want to add something, Isaac? Because I want to stay with Milou. Yeah, you talked about linkages a lot, and I'm just looking at what the position of partnership is in ensuring that the NTF5 is extremely successful and can be replicated or be a replicated model across the board.
Sure, I can talk about partnerships there. I don't know if Diabel wanted to add something on the investments because that
I would like to
kind
hear that. Then we can just move over to the partnership bit. Yeah, but
Yeah.
something to add.
Yeah, just one point to add about investment, because I know what we experienced with NTF4 projects, that startup are always talking about access to finance, access to investment. We need money. We need money to do that. We need money to do so. But often
We need money everywhere.
yeah, we need money everywhere. But it's not sure that the first need they have is to access to money. So we are how to depending on their maturity, we organize
Yeah.
our portfolio of services on how to coach them. Firstly, on like one example I can give to first to coach them in the valuation of their startup. You know, you want to talk to an investor, but you don't know what. Yeah, you have an idea, you have maybe a product, but you don't know about the value of this idea or your startup, and it's something really important when you discuss with an investor. So we coach them firstly in those steps. So when they are ready to talk to investor, valuation of startup is one of them. But working on the pitch, every startup come with a pitch deck and can talk about the project, but I think we have a lot of type of pitch deck you need to have when you talk to investor and when you talk to a customer. It's not the same way to present your project. So we coach them also in that way. So when we think they are ready to talk to an investor, so yeah, we put them to participate in such kind of event when they could meet investor. Yeah.
So that's
This
you
one.
doing some sort of a due diligence and validation before they start the pitch processes, so that you ensure that the startups or the businesses they are pitching to investors are actually credible businesses and could actually scale, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah,
Milo, let me double back with you then. Dio, you saying something?
no, it's okay. I'm okay.
All right, perfect. Let's get back to linkages and the position of partnership, ensuring that the NTF5 actually runs and can perform the solution we actually want to see it perform.
Sure, thank you, Richard. I mean, I think every support program thrives on local and also international partnerships. Without that, it just wouldn't work so well. And it also prevents working, in silos and duplicating what is already being done. So it's better to join forces and partner up. So, for example, partnerships with local partners who are very close to and work in the tech entrepreneurship ecosystem, such as tech hubs. In Ghana, you can, for example, think about Ghana Tech Lab and Cosmos Innovation Center, Stanbic Incubator, Impact Hub, and many others. So depending on the activity we want to provide, we will partner with one of them. They have a large network of startups. They know the ecosystem, and they will help make the support towards startups a success. But it's also good to keep in mind that there are so many accelerators, incubators, and other support programs currently operating in Ghana. It is needed that they work together, or at least know from each other what they are doing, so that new ones can focus on areas that are not yet or less so covered. So for example, in Ghana, we saw a lot of support at early stages for entrepreneurs, and less support for more startups and businesses that want to scale internationally. So that is then something that NTF5 Tech can focus on more, because that is less so covered. But next to that, I think you also have to think about partnerships with government bodies that are involved in driving the digital agenda of those countries, bodies who are involved in ICT development and are supporting entrepreneurship. So really looking at what support is already there, and then how can our support add to that. So we do partner with such partners to support digitally focused policies in the countries. And this could be, for example, a Startup Act. And then there are important partners in the financing area, as we just mentioned, access to finance. So these could be banks, angel investors, and VCs to provide that access to funding for startups to scale. But also partners that drive connectivity are important for us, such as relationships with telcos that can drive digitalization by supporting connectivity development. And also partners such as AWS, so Amazon Web Services, that can help provide support to MSMEs in the form of free or discounted benefits on access to AWS tools that help scale the business. And then lastly, I'll also mention the importance of partnerships with international event partners, as I briefly mentioned before as well, such as these big tech summits like Africa Arena or Slush, Africa Tech Summit and AfricaCom. They're important partners where we bring startups as well as the IT and BPO companies to their events to meet with potential customers, clients, organize pitching competitions, get in touch with investors, provide a platform for them to be visible, not just within the country, but also in the region and perhaps beyond that as well. So I'll stop there here for now.
Right. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna get back at this because it's one of the things that really bother me, right? Juxtaposing the quality of the startups produced or startups that scale against the quantity, right? What measuring metrics are there to ensure that we have more startups with quality products, quality, content or quality service to scale than just having the numbers, of startups here. We've supported, say, 50,000 startups. I mean, these are the gimmicks of the game, right? And how are we ensuring, Isaac? I'm going to start with you because you're looking at NTM5 in Ghana. How are we ensuring that we don't just work with numbers, but we work with the quality to access to services?
Well, I mean, focusing on getting quality, right? With a call out, and what I think makes the ITC very different is a very long-term program. Not a 3 months, it's a 2-year relationship we're going to build with the startups. And we only work with a handful of startups, right? So we're looking at up to 30 startups in Ghana and up to 30 PO. We focus really on quality. So we want to be able to take, as Diabel and Milou are saying, companies that can scale. That's really our metrics. That you have to already be making money. You have to have a good structure already. Have your company registered, your staff there, full-time staff, and that ensures us that you already have the foundations. You can come and add on top of what you already have to enable you to scale. Our program is aimed at taking top quality and making good better. So that's what we're looking at. Look at everything Milou saying, but by having the right partnerships, so those partnerships in the country, partnerships outside the country, partnerships with investors, with AWS and other stakeholders that are essential in the life cycle of a business. And by having those partnerships, we can add fertilizer, if you like, using the agri example, or these really precious seeds that are now really nourishing themselves and growing. You can have the right fertilizer and give them the right support to really get to where they want to get faster. Right? So they're already heading in the right direction. And we want to just a handful, because you're saying, like, with getting those accelerated, it helps to give examples of best practice to other tech companies in the system who can then emulate them and add more competition. Okay, this is best practice. How do I also do some?
Thank you so much, Isaac. I think you answered that very smartly. And like Milou rightfully mentioned, I mean, when she stated some of the metrics that you're using to benchmark, right, to raise the startups. I like the fact that it's a long-term relationship, and we are looking at building scalable startups and helping them ensure that the quality that they provide becomes even of better quality, which is good. By the way, we are coming to you live from Digital Times Africa. I want to say a very big thank you to Webster University for hosting us. That's where we are hosting the show from today. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on digitaltimes.africa, www.digitaltimes.africa. Feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. What we have been discussing about is accelerating the digital entrepreneurship landscape in Africa, and we're just looking at the position of the Netherlands Trust Fund in helping accelerate digital entrepreneurs. All right. I'm gonna get back to my guest, and I have quite exciting talk points at this final stage as we look to draw the curtains. Right. This is one of a saying from the UNCTAD Secretary General. Right, and the name is quite technical, and I might fumble pronouncing it, so I'm just going to let it pass. Right, he said that boosting the digital economy in developing countries require a new way of thinking, and this majorly sits with entrepreneurs, right? Milou, from where you sit, do you think we've gotten to that threshold of a thinking capacity that we can form or create the new age of entrepreneurship or digital entrepreneurship in Africa?
That's a good question. I don't think there is this full capacity reached. I mean, yes, for example, in Ghana there is a lot of support programs and a lot of different organizations that are trying to kind of like support and help all these different tech and digital entrepreneurs, also helping the digital economy move forward. But even though there are a lot, there's always room for innovation in that space, and there's always room to do things differently, accelerate it on multiple levels. So I definitely think there is room for, not necessarily for more, but for doing something differently as well, and whatever form that is. Like I said, there are actually a lot of support programs or organizations that support the digital ecosystem that play kind of in the same area and that provide support in many of the same areas. So there are still a lot of areas that can be served that are not yet served that much, and also the ones that are already served can be served in multiple different ways. Like, things progress, the world changes so rapidly, especially in the digital world, that it requires also constant change in terms of support and constant innovation. I hope that answered your question a bit.
It does, yes, true. Africa is still developing, and we're not yet there, true. And then we are embracing the culture of growth, right, quite rapidly. And I'm just gonna sit down with Isaac here because I saw him shaking his head. But then, Isaac, how would you gauge the acceptance of these programs, which is looking at helping accelerate exponentially the digital entrepreneurship landscape across Africa? I will come back to Diabel, so where we've seen case studies of what the Senegalese ecosystem has looked like, but looking at the NTF5 being in its very foundational stages in the Ghanaian ecosystem, right? How would you gauge the reception of this initiative, this program, this support to really help channel the mind of African entrepreneurs or Ghanaian entrepreneurs in this case?
Yeah. So it's quickly just add on to what Milou was saying. If you look at the population of Ghana, something like 50% of the population is under 25. So also, like, the amount of support services are great, but we don't have enough hubs. We don't have enough development partners in the country. Because in the future, we're going to need more people to create their own jobs. And tech jobs is the future, right? So I'm really happy, once again, we're talking about the government. The government is now looking at having more STEM education. There's actually a STEM event happening at the Ghana Ghana Digital Center. We moved from Accra Digital Center to Ghana Digital Center. So you can see that the government is also realizing that they have to get that STEM education ingrained, but we need to be able to turn knowledge into business as the real thing, right? So we need to first get them into places like this, where they're trained not just how to build app or build their website, but all the other knowledge they need around it. Entrepreneurs need to wear three hats, right? A tech hat, a managerial hat, and a visionary hat. And as was mentioned, we really have good technical abilities, but now scale the business side of things. And how the acceptance will go in Ghana, like I said, speaking. One, I think, will come a lot from public exposure. So thank you once again, Digital Times Africa, for enabling us to get our message out to the people. I think once people know what we're doing, they can buy into it. But I think the biggest way to get buy-in is by having success. And already with the NTF program, seeing how startups have scaled, I think we're able to show successes here in Ghana. More companies, more partners, more government agencies, more hubs will want to know what we're doing because they can see the benefits.
Great. We're about to wrap up the show. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with us. Milou, I'm going to put you on the spot here, right? Sitting where you sit in Geneva, right, and then looking at the global overview of the African digital ecosystem, right? What are some of the trends you saw in 2021, and how or what do you think it would take to build a thriving digital economy in 2022 for Africa? I mean, you sit outside, so you probably like have like a different objective, and we can come to Isaac and Diabel. We can see what Africa really needs to work with.
Thank you, Richard. So many trends in digital because digital, yeah, I mean, since COVID, especially the digital transformation has accelerated. So I think there are kind of like two trends that were coming up or accelerated in 2021 as well. The first one is really about resilience. So building a business or even existing businesses have to kind of change their model to a resilient business model, and that very often includes elements of going digital because with COVID we had to work from home, people couldn't like move or meet each other, so even having meetings online and doing business online, that was like booming because business that was normally only done face to face was now also being done online. Same with education, like you saw edutech startups popping up everywhere because schools were closed. You had to provide your services online, and that is one big trend. The other one is then kind of like resilience, but more in the way of climate resilience. Also thinking about how can I build the business in a more sustainable way going forward. And I think especially in Africa, people are hit hard by climate change and climate disasters. It's so important to keep that element in mind, and that is also one of the reasons why we as a support program also geared towards providing support in resilience and also in climate resilience, specifically in the tech field. So we provided this training called Greening ICT, and really looking at, okay, how can you make your ICT operations greener, not just to be better for the environment, but also to save office costs. And a really important one is attracting impact investment. And that is one of the trends that we see as well, is that investors are more and more, especially in 2021, geared towards impact investment. So which businesses can we invest that actually have a good impact on their society or a good impact on the environment? And that is something that we definitely need to keep in mind when we move forward. And I think agri-tech is a really important space there as well, because digitalizing value chains for agri-businesses will make it more resilient, will make it more inclusive, and can also make it more also make it better for the environment when you know, for example, be more efficient with water irrigation, or you get your energy from solar. So I mean, I can go on, but that is some of the trends that I've seen in 2021 that will accelerate further in 2022.
Yeah, those are fascinating trends. I'm particularly interested around the agri-tech sector and the innovations around agri-tech, right? Diabel,
Yeah,
I hope I pronounced your name right. Forgive me because I hear Isaac pronouncing it quite differently.
Diabel.
Good.
Yeah, you
Devil.
can.
Okay, great.
Diabel. Yeah, right. No
All
problem.
right, awesome. Right now we sit in Africa, right? I mean, you've I mean, work around the digital innovation landscape or space in Senegal, and you already understand the African ecosystem and what we really need to thrive. Coming from the back of the pandemic, right? What are the trends you saw that would stick and stay, and those that would leave, and what do we really need to consider to drive a digital economy in
Yeah.
2022?
Thank you, Richard. Large question. I don't know if I could give you the answer you are waiting for, but from my point of view, you
Yeah.
know, when we start NTF4 in 2018, yeah, we were maybe, let's say, maybe the only one support program in this ecosystem. Now we have a lot of support program because people, donors, and other execution agency know that we have a lot of things to do in Africa. So, and as Milou said, when you see digital acceleration in these two last years because of pandemic, and from my point of view, from here, we have a lot of opportunities because we have to how to say it. Yeah, we have to digitalize all the sector. We have to we have the ZLECAf, IFCTA, I mean in English, African Free Trade Continental Area.
Yeah, after
Yeah, we have a
FCTA,
lot of
yeah.
opportunity for our startup and company, but one of the problem I see it's our company is often too small, and I think we have to develop a lot of partnership between entrepreneurs, between company, and between company around our sub-regional. What I mean, we need we need to meet between ecosystem. Ghanaian ecosystem and Senegalese ecosystem, for example, need to meet to say what kind of partnership we can develop, what kind of
Yeah.
company we can build, because the opportunity are here and we can do a lot of things. So maybe the way we support startup maybe change a little bit to emphasize this fact, yeah, because we have a lot of opportunity locally, regionally, and with African free trade area. Maybe it's we have not enough time to talk about this African free trade continental area, but
We
I
go
think
some other time,
a
most
lot of
definitely.
opportunity to do things on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually like the fact that you mentioned the African free trade area and how, separate African countries can work together within the technological space to actually improve the service provision of tech services in Africa. One of the key startups which is doing well, Paystack, Flutterwave, and a few of them. I'm just looking at the linkages between the Nigerian tech ecosystem and the Ghanaian tech ecosystem, the Togolese tech ecosystem, Senegal, and how we are all, helping each other thrive and grow. Which very, very good in the perspective, and it's really, really a fascinating one. Looking at the AFTCA, African Free Trade Agreement. Right, I'm going to come back to you, Isaac, right before we close. We are almost at the 9 minutes. Right, Isaac, what are your thoughts around growing the digital economy in 2022?
I mean, there are lots of different things. I guess, yes, every stakeholder needs to play their part. right? We need the government to make sure we have stable and reliable power, because like without that, we can't even think about digitalization. We need to make sure we have good and stable internet. And I know we have, I think, two different fiber cables that terminate in Ghana, so that's really a very good plus point. Um, as we mentioned, the startups are getting more savvy. The talent is there, but I guess it's also them learning to be more aggressive, to see the opportunity, and as the bill was saying, like looking beyond your country. So there's no longer look at, okay, say I'm building a startup for Ghana. It now needs to be an
Yeah.
African startup, right? So like before we used to accuse especially the West of calling Africa one country, but now we need to think that way. And now you're building something, whether it's in Accra or Dakar or Nairobi, but it's for the rest of Africa. And I think media now has one of the largest places to play. Um, we mentioned Paystack. When Paystack
Yeah.
got its exit, all of a sudden that created a flood wave for the different unicorns to exist. And the exit was a signaling tool to the world that actually you can do business in Africa and make a lot of money. We have Jumia,
Yeah.
we have Paystack now, Flutter, OPay, Wave, MFS Africa, and all these other great fintechs that are pan-African, especially looking at Ghana, ZPay. That's not only pan-African, but it's now expanded to the Caribbean. So now we
Yeah.
have African startups that are now international. Like before, we're looking at only how do we go from Ghana to Nigeria to West Africa. But ZPay is showing we can be a Ghanaian-based startup, but have services around the world. And that's how we need to think. And that's why we need the media stations like yourselves and others to show the world that Africa is ready for business. We always complain we don't have enough local angels and VCs here, but we show the VCs across the world, whether it's America, UK, but Brazil, Japan, and other unusual places, that Africa is open for business. I think
Africa is
that's what's
open for business. Tweet that. Share that on LinkedIn, share that on Facebook. Africa is open for business. That's a catchphrase. Thank you, Isaac. I'm going to leave us with this three key elements. I'm just going to share my thoughts here on what I think could actually thrive or drive the digital economy for 2022. One, collaboration. Two, process. And three, policies. Right? We need to collaborate more at an exponential level across board all African states. We want to see more African startups supporting other African startups, right?
Yeah.
We are seeing good examples in Nigeria, the like of Paystack CEO, who is now investing in football and how tech can drive football, right? We see the same thing with Flutter, buying out Paystack. I think also bought out a creative agency that was dying out of business, right? That is startup to supporting startup collaboration, investment within each other across Africa. Process, right, and service provision. We really need to embrace process-driven service provision, right? It's about the consumer, it's about the products that you're delivering, but then the consumer is at the helms of affair, right? You need to understand the process for which to deliver better quality services to the consumer, right? So design here is a tool to help drive quality and process provision and policies, right? Limiting barriers of entries for African markets, for African startups, for African entrepreneurs, right? We want to see the like of the Ghana Startup Act run, the Senegalese Startup Act run. 2009 to 2022 is quite a long time, right? We need to ramp up these policies. Africa is open for business and we want to work forward. Thank you so much. If you just joined us as you're watching the DT Africa Live series, and this is where we draw the curtains. I want to say a very big thank you to my guest, Milou, who sits in Geneva. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Geneva. I hope you're enjoying the cold ice or you're enjoying the snow, right? Quite where we are is quite warm. And yeah, we're in Ghana, we're in Africa. And thank you so much, Isaac, and thank you so much, Diabel, for joining us. Really appreciate the time you spent with us and explaining what the Netherlands Trust Fund 5 really would look at doing for the Ghanaian startup ecosystem or the Ghanaian digital businesses. At this point, I'm just going to drive you through some of the engagement we have coming up. One of those is the Afro's Future Summit, which is coming up on the 28th of February. And then we have Digital Factory, which will be happening live on the 10th of February. We are going to bring you all the shows live, right? Do not forget that if you need access to Afrocentric insight around technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship, Digital Times Africa is your one-up spot. Stay with us. We will be back in the future. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much, Milou. Thank you so much, all of you, for sticking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hosting you.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.